ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां व्यासशंकरमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So do Narada Suktam chanting. ओम सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशंभुवं विश्वं नारायणं देवमक्षरं परमं पदं विश्वतः परमादित्यं विश्वं नारायणगुं हरिं विश्वमेवेदं पुरुषः तत् विश्वमुपजीवति पतिं विश्वस्यात्मेश्वरगुं शाश्वतगुं शिवमच्युतं नारायणं महाज्ञेयं विश्वात्मानं परायणं नारायणपरो ज्योतिरात्मा नारायणः परः नारायणपरं ब्रह्म तत्त्वं नारायणः परः नारायणपरो ध्याता ध्यानं नारायणः परः यच्च किञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयतेऽपि वा अन्तर्बहिश्च तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायणस्थितः अनन्तमव्ययं कविगुं समुद्रेन्दं विश्वशम्भुवं पद्मकोशप्रतीकाशगुं हृदयं चाप्यतोमुखम् अदो निष्ट्यावितस्यान्ते नाभ्यामुपरितिष्ठति ज्वालमालाकुलं भाति विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सन्ततकुं शिलाभिस्तुलं बत्याकोशसन्निभं तस्यान्ते सुशिरगुं सूक्ष्मं तस्मिन् सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं तस्य मध्ये महानग्निर्विश्वाक्षेर्विश्वतो मुखः शोक्रमुक्विजन्दिष्टन्नाहारमजरः तिर्यकूटमदशायीरश्मयस्तस्य सन्तथा सन्तापयति स्वं देहमापातदलमस्तकः तस्य मध्ये वन्यशिखा अनीयो ऊर्ध्वा व्यवस्थितः नीलतोयतमध्यस्थाद्युल्लेखे भभास्वरा नीवारशोकवद्धन्नी पीतावा स्वत्यनुपमा तस्या शिखाया मध्ये परमा आत्मा व्यवस्थितः स ब्रह्म स शिव स हरिसेन्द्र सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट् ऋतगुं सत्यं परं ब्रह्मं पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। ओम नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। I think Sridhar is asking if there's a problem. So at the last class we saw up to Anantam Avyayam, right? Is it? We saw up to that place, Anantam Avyayam.
No, we went ahead. Yeah, Vishwashambhuvam.
Ah, correct.
One who brings happiness.
Correct. So Anantam Avyayam Kavim Samudrantam. Samudrentam means from Samudraha, so the one who is rising in the ocean, until the end of the ocean. So the ocean is endless. So wherever you go, you will find the ocean. So Samudrentam. Then Vishwa Shambhu. So the one who is happiness personified is Vishwa Shambhu. Right.
Vishwashambhu enna illenga? Vishwashambhu.
Vishwam means the whole world, and Shambhu means the one who is giver of auspiciousness. So Shambhu meaning the one who does good things, or Shambhu, Vishwa Shambhu. Then Padmakosha Pratikashagum Hridayan Chapyato Mukham. So Padmakoshaha. See, Padma means lotus. Okay, Padma means lotus. The one who is of the nature of the bud, or the one who is yet to bloom. So yet to bloom and also the flower also is, both of them is Bhagavan. So Padma Koshaha, correct? Then Hridayam. See, Hridayam also means the heart, and the lotus is actually present in the form of the heart. See, the heart shaped, you see, the lotus, correct? And what it says here, the Bhagavan Vishnu is present here, is in the form of a lotus. And the one who is present in the heart, Hridayam. Hridayam cha api means and. And Hridayam cha atho mukham. So Hridayam cha api atho mukham. So atho mukham means that which is downward looking. So atho mukham. So Padma Kosha Pradikashagum. See, Padma Kosha Pradikashagum means the one which is of the nature of lotus, and the one who is related to the heart. So whenever you see the heart shape is called lotus. Right? And Atho Mukham, the one which is looking downward. Atho Mukham. Then, so what it talks about is the presence of the Bhagavan in the heart. So in the Purusha Suktam also you saw that Atyatishta Dashangulam. Right? So Atyatishta Dashangulam means what? The Bhagavan is actually present from the creation, from the Nabi of the Bhagavan. He is present 10 angulams above, and which is the heart. So there also the creation is talked about. Here also the same is talks about here. Then Ato Nishtyavitasyante Nabhyam Upari Tishtati. See, same thing. See, Nabhyam Upari means from the Nabi, Upari means above, and Tishtati means is established. So Nabhyam Upari Tishtati, Nabhyat Asit Antariksham Atyatishta Dashangulam. So there also Tishtati is coming there. See, in Purusha Suktam also Atyatishta Dasha Angulam. Here also Nabhyam Upari Tishtati. So Tishtati means what is established, or the one who is located or is seated. And how it is Nabhyam Upari, above the Nabi of the Bhagavan. Right? And Jwala Mala Kulam. See, Jwala means the one who is of the nature of effulgence. It's called Jwala. So Jwala, when you say Jwala means effulgence. The one who is of the nature of radiance, brilliance, effulgence, shining is called Jwala. Correct? And Jwala Mala Kulam Bhati means shining. The one who is of the nature of shining and who is lined up. Like, when you say mala means like, it's a chain. So Jwala Mala means what? Mala is like a chain. So how the chain is all lined up, correct? So the chain or anything you see, they are actually lined together. They are the sequence. They only call a mala. So the prakasham of the Bhagavan is of the nature of continuous. It is like a chain. So it is not intermittent. Our knowledge or our effulgence is intermittent. It is not always shining. Sometimes it shines, sometimes it doesn't shine. Whereas Bhagavan's Vishnu here is talks about as the one who is of the nature of Jwala Mala Kulam Bhati. So Bhati means what? Shining. The one who is shown or seen in this world as the effulgent person, effulgent being. You can call that. So Jwala Mala Kulam Bhati Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. So Vishwasya means what? This world, correct? And Mahat means this universe which is big. Mahat means big. Bruhat also means big. So Mahat, Bruhat. So Bruhat Aranya Upanishad, they say, that means what is a very big Upanishad. Bruhat means very, very big, and Aranya Upanishad. So the Upanishad itself can take you 3 years to study, just the Upanishad. Only that Upanishad. Because anything you can't find there, you will find in the Upanishad. Because it is the culmination of all this entire study. So after studying the 9 Upanishads, you are supposed to be breezing through the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. You do not need any further teaching, because it is only a recollection of what has been learned in so many Upanishads. So quotation from Katha Upanishad, quotation from Mundaka Upanishad, all of them are contained in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So always what Sannyasi's quote or Swamiji's quote is, anything which is there is quoted in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, because it is a safe bet that it will be there. So here also Brihat means Brihat Vadema Vidate Suviraha. Right? So same way Brihat Vadema Vidate Suviraha. Right? So same way here also Brihat or Mahat, same thing. Correct? And Ayatanam means the one who is the abode, or the one who lives in that place called Ayatanam. Correct? The one where you retire, or Bhagavan Vishnu is where he is in a place in Vaikuntham. And that is a place where he resides, and from there he shines. And due to his nature of shining, the entire universe is of the nature of Jwala Mala Kulam Bhati Vishwasyayatanam Mahat. So the entire Vishwam is actually illuminated or shining. So there is a question asked, somebody asked, how come Vishnu is portrayed as blue? Whereas, he is supposed to be white. So the answer given by one of the Paramacharya was that you bring what you call a bowl of milk. So the bowl of milk is brought, and one rich Sethji is coming with Maragadam. Maragadam is actually blue in color. So he comes to the stone and says, Swamiji, this is actually for you, for the society, for your ashram. So Swamiji keeps it aside, and he doesn't bother. Then this other person comes and asks, that I have a doubt, Swamiji. What is the doubt? That how come Krishna is Vishnu is seen in blue color when he's supposed to be Par Kadal? So Pal Kadal means what? Pal means supposed to be white, and he's supposed to be white. How come he's blue? Why people are seeing as blue color? So it's a logical question, and Swamiji said, wait, somebody is going to come. So this Seji comes, and he comes with the Margadam stone, which is supposed to be blue in color. So he gives to the Acharya, Paramacharya, and says, this is I bought for you. He looks at the stone like this, and he keeps it aside. Then the person who asked the question, he asks one of his Shishya, you bring one bowl of milk. So he brings a bowl of milk. He puts the stone in the milk. So due to the presence of the color of the stone, the milk becomes blue or is seen as blue. So this person thinks that maybe the Swami is testing whether the stone which I got is true or not. See, everybody has got their own doubt, correct? See, they got their own prachane. The person who brought the milk, he thinks that why is the person bringing milk? Because the stone guy, then the other person is thinking, why is he putting such an expensive stone into the milk there? So what he says is here, because the Bhagavan is present in that and the color is reflected like this. So in reality, the stone doesn't change the color. It appears to be blue in color. So the moment you took the stone out, it became again white. So the stone color did not transmit into the milk. But because of Bhagavan's nature of blue, and because he's present in the milky ocean, the whole ocean looks like blue, and that is what the whole universe seems like blue. That's why he says Jwala Mala Kulam Bhati. So Jwala means the shining or the effulgence which is there. He's of the nature of Mala because he's Vajanti Mala. So he has the Vajanti Mala. And the Vajanti Mala is the one which shines. So it radiates, illumines. Correct? And Bhati means shine. So Bhati means shine. Swayam Vibhati means self-shining. And Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. So Vishwasya means what? That belongs to the universe. Ayatanam means that which is the abode. Okay. So here also there is a contemplation mantra that the Bhagavan Vishnu is supposed to be meditated upon as Nabhyam Upari Tikshati. So the one who is present above the Nabhi and in the Hridaya Kamala. So Padma Kosha Pratikashakum, the previous verse. So you have to worship the Bhagavan in the heart. You have to bring the Narayana into the heart there and worship there. Correct? So Mahat. Then Santatakum Shilabhistulambatya Koshashannibham. Santatakum Shilabhistulambatya Koshashannibham. Tasyante Sushiragum Sukshmam Tasmin Sarvam Pratishtitam. So, see, Santatam, when you say here, the gum actually is for emphasis. Santata gum, when you say the gum is for emphasis. So it says, indeed, all the different directions, all the 4 directions are there, Santata gum. And Silabhistu Lambatya Koshasannibham. Correct. So Koshaha means it's actually a sheath. Kosham. Koshaha means sheath. And Shilabi, the Shilabi means actually it's a naramb, or you can call the knot, those nerves which are there present in the body, they call Shilabi. Right. And Lambati Akosha Shannibham. Lambati Akosha Shannibham. So Lambati, it means what? It is, the literal meaning is called dangling. but it is not the way dangling. It is present. So lambati means it's supposed to be that it is present in the nerves. So all the nerves with the physical body, the Bhagavan is present as what? Sukshmam. So Sukshmam means what? The one which cannot be, cannot see it. You can only know that it is there. How do you know? Because the entire body is functioning. You got sense of touch, sense of, everything is there. So Shilabhistu Sannibham. So the one who is present there, Sannibham. So Santatakum Shilabhi Astu Lambatya Akosha Shannibham. Right. So the one who is present is in the heart, also in the nervous system as essence, and is present in all the different directions. Right. Then Tasya Ante means inside. Tasya Ante means inside. Antaha means inside. Bahya means outside. So Tasya Antaha Sushiragum. See, the word sushi kam. Kam means what? Akasham. Okay. Sushiram kam means akasha. Sushiram akashaha. Sukshmam means very, very subtle. Tasmin sarvam pratishtitam. Means just as the subtlest of subtlest is present in our physical body. That which cannot be seen, that which cannot be, made objective for knowledge. You can only know that it is there. Right? So he is present in the subtlest of the nerve. So Nadi Narambagal, when you say like this. So Nadi Narambagal. That means what? The entire functioning of the physical body is depending on what? The heart, correct? The heart does not function, then there is your nervous system will collapse. Right? So the same way the Bhagavan has to be there for the entire Srishti to function. So whenever we see this universe functioning, we see the universe functioning in our own body also, the mini universe. What is the mini universe? It contains of the heart, just the Bhagavan. It contains of all the limbs which is there. The directions which are there, the 4 directions are there. So all of them, and then the subtle elements. What are the subtle elements? Like the air, vayu, etc. Subtle elements, right? So they are also present in us as the same element. So we also got air, we have also got water, we have also got the nerves, nerve central, everything is there. So the literal meaning of the dhyana is that just as the Bhagavan is present outside, same way is also present inside of us. So whenever you see outside, you should also be able to relate it to inside also. That's why he says, Tasya Ante. So Antaha, because of this, you don't have to look outside. So you should be able to relate the outside objects to inside also. Right? So Sushiragum, Sukshmam, Tasmin, Sarvam, Pratishtitam. Means all of this are just as the outside world has got Sukshma, Sukshmaha, etc. established. The same way inside our physical body also, the Bhagavan is present and is present as the essence in everything. So that is what is the message here. So all the 5 elements which are present outside are also present in us. So we also got air, we also got water, we also got space in the physical body. We got fire, right? So all of the elements which are there is present also in physical body. So when the universe is seen, you see the universe inside you also, because you are non-separate from the universe. That is Sukshmam Tasmin Sarvam Pratishtitam. So just as everything is Sukshmam, same way is also established in you. So Santatakum Shilabhistulambatya Kosha Sannibham. Tasyante sushiragum sukshmam tasmin sarvam pratishtitam. Then Tasya madhye mahanagnir vishwachir vishvato mukaha. Tasya madhye mahanagnir vishwachir vishvato mukaha. Sokrabhu vibhajantistan naharamajarakkavihi. So, tasya madhye. So, madhye means in the middle, right? So, he is present in the middle. How? Vishwa Archihi. So, Vishwa Archihi. Vishwa means the universe. And the one Archihi means the one who is the effulgent person, or the one who is of the nature of radiance is called Archihi. So there's also, for Suryan, there's also Archi. There's also another name for Archi. Suryan also. Pushan. So Archi also is the name for Suryan also. The Suryan is Swayam Prakashaha. So Tasya Madhye Maha Agnihi. Right? So Agni is what? Agni is of the nature of brilliance. Agni is of the nature of illumination. So the Agni is present inside us. Same way the Bhagavan is also present in the center of everything. There is not a particular place where there is Agni is not there in our body. Can you locate the Agni? Can you say that Agni is only in the heart or stomach? Agni is everywhere. Because Ushnam, when you say, it can appear here. It can, your ears can get hot. Your mouth can get, hot also. Head can get hot. A hand can get hot. Body can get hot. All the parts of the physical body can get hot. So, the heat is present in the Bhagavan in everywhere. And because of the nature of heat present everywhere, he is Swayam Prakashaha, he is illuminating from all directions. If he was only present in one direction, only one direction illuminated. Because he is present as Vishwato Mukaha. So Vishwato Mukha means what? Mukha means the face. So Bhagavan's face is everywhere. And because his face is everywhere, his heat is also present everywhere, just as our own heat also is present everywhere. So we are also Vishwato Mukha. We are also Vishwarchihi. But we do not understand this because we think that only we have Agni in the stomach. Because whatever you eat, it gets digested. So we know the Agni only in terms of the eating Agni only. But here Bhagavan says he is present as the essence in everything. So Tasya Madhye Mahanagni Vishwachi Vishwato Mukaha. So the Agni is responsible for burning anything, right? So Agni has got the capacity is to convert into energy. So if you don't have Agni in your stomach, or if you don't have Agni, it means you will not have energy. So energy is required. And that is what keeps us going. Same way, energy is the one who is responsible for the universe to function. Imagine there's no sun at all. Supposing there's no sun at all. Do you think anything will survive in this universe? Nothing will survive. Everything will be very cold and nothing will be grown. No animals can survive, including human beings. Imagine that you are locked into a room. See, some people punish it. There's a punishment given where they lock you in a solitary cell. I think I saw a movie long time ago. There's a movie called Papillon. I don't know if you see the movie or not. Long time ago. In that movie, every time he does to escape, they'll put him in solitary jail. Solitary jail means there'll be no window there. There'll be no light there. You can't even see yourself. So they will put him there for about 8-9 days. By the time he comes, he cannot see things, he cannot walk, he has to crawl because the energy is not there in the body anymore. Even though the food is all there, the energy required in the body cannot be converted. So the person actually collapses. That's why he says here, Maha Agnir. So not Agni, Mahanagnir Vishwachir Vishwato Mukaha. Right. So that Agni is of the nature of Agrabuk. Saha Agrabuk. So So Agrabuk means what here? Aharam. So Agrabuk, Aharam Ajarak Kavihi. So Agrabuk means the one who is the foremost eater. Right? Foremost eater. And Aharam, we say, is the food. And Aharam Vibhajan. See the word, 3 words are there. See, Saha Ugrabuk Aharaha Vibhajan. So Ugrabuk means the first foremost eater, and Aharam means the food, and Vibhajan means the one who is responsible for the digestion of the food, or the one who is responsible for the digestion of the food. So just as we have in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 4, verse number 26, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, correct? So Brahma Agno Brahman Ahutam. So whatever food is there is Brahman, correct? Brahma Havihi. So the Havi also is Brahman, and Brahma Agno, into the fire of Brahman, Ahutam also has been offered, correct? And the Gantavyam, means the name or the ghee which is offered, also is Brahman, correct? And Brahma Karma Samadhina. So thereby I do not have anything to do with action, and every karma is Brahma. So it's a simple meaning where there is non-doership, where the eater is Brahman, the offered is Brahman, the one who digests also is Brahman, the one becomes Havi also is Brahman, and the results which come also is Brahman. So thereby you do not have anything to do with anything at all, because when you say everything is Brahman, then what is the question of this? So you're not there. Same way here also, same concept here. So Tasya Madhye Maha Agner Vishwachi Vishwato Mukha. So this Bhagavan is actually present as the Vishwarchihi. And Vishwato Mukha. So the one who is present in all the different directions. Mukham is there. Then Saha Ugrabuk Vibhajan Aharaha Vibhajan. So Ahara means the food which is being consumed is being digested by the fire, digestive fire present in the physical body. Right? And for that, Tishta Annaha. So Tishta Annaha means the food after digesting also has sustain also. Correct. So for the energy to be there, the food has to also to be there as energy form. So some people don't eat food, they cannot sustain because the body doesn't accept the food. So there's no energy there, correct? So making sure that everything is, so Aharaha Ajarak Kavihi. So Ajaraha means what? That which is of the nature of. Ajaram means here, actually Ajaha means unborn, really speaking. And here Ajaraha means what? That which is not decaying, or that which food which doesn't actually decay into the physical body. See, the physical body has got a unique mechanism. Anything you eat, you eat pani puri, you eat bhel puri, you go anywhere, whatever you want, it will accept the food which you want. The remaining will be thrown out, whether you like it or not. Right? It will just chuck it out. So what does it do? It only keeps the essence of the food, which it can digest. And the energy the body has got, it will digest only what it can digest. Anything which cannot be digested, it becomes waste, or it goes as fat, and eventually the fat is burnt when you do something else. So it has got a very efficient mechanism. The same way, the Bhagavan also, when they say Vishwarchihi, he also, yes.
Sogra Bhugvi Bhajan Tishta.
Bhajan la Vibhajan.
Oh, Vibhajan.
Not Bhajan. Vibhajan.
Sogra Bhugvi Bhajan da boat. Vibhajan. So Bhugvi.
Saha. Sokra means Saha Ugra.
Okay.
Vibhajan. Ugra means what? The heat.
Okay.
Saha Ugra Vibajan Tishta
Oh,
Na Aharaha Ajarak Kavihi.
oh, Tishtana. Okay. Tishtana Bajara.
See, Tishta means that, to keep the body functioning, to keep the food intact, like energy intact. So you must use as Saha Ugraha, Ugrabuk, Aharaha, Vibajan, Tishtati, Saha Annaha. I'm putting now. So Anna means food, correct? And Sograbuk means the one who is the foremost consumer, the first consumer. So the first eater of the food is Bhagavan. Then he also converts the food into energy. Correct? And after converting energy, he is also responsible for sustaining the energy also, sustaining. And Ajarak Kavihi. So Kavi means not a poet. Kavi means the person who is a wise person. The one who sees is called Kavihi. Munihi, Kavihi, Jnani, all are only one, same word. So Kavi means the person, the wise person who sees. So Tasya Madhye Maha Agnir, and the adverb for Agni is Vishwarchihi. So Agni is of his nature of effulgence. And effulgence is given another word called Vishwarchihi, the one who is the illuminator of the entire world and who is present as the Vishwato Mukaha, the one who is present as the having the face in entire all direction, Vishwato Mukaha. Then Saha Ugrabuk Vibajan Tishtan Annaha Aharamajarak Kavihi. You got that? So the same philosophy is explained in the Bhagavad Gita also, where the eater is Brahman, the food is Brahman, the fire is Brahman, the ghee which is offered as Ajyam also is Brahman, the fire itself is Brahman, and the result also is Brahman. So whatever comes out of the fire also is consumed as what? As prasada by you. Right? So in reality, you are not offering anything, you are not doing anything at all. That is the concept. But here, same things explained here, but from a different perspective, where Vishnu is supposed to be the one who is the Maha-Agni, who is present as the Maha-Agni, and Vishwarchihi, Vishwato Mukaha, and the one who is responsible for the assimilation or division of the food, and Aharam. So the Aharam means the food there. And the one who oversees Kavihi, the one who has got the overlordship of everything is called Kavihi. So that's the real meaning of that. So all these are contemplation. See, all these are only to understand that Bhagavan is there. So you do not need to have Saguna Brahma Upasana. Correct. Then Diryakutamadashi Rasmayastasya Santata. See, Tiryaha Kurtvam Adashayihi. So Tiryak means here, Tiryak means the pranigal, the animals, Tiryak. Right. So Tiryak Kurtvam Adashayihi. So you must read this Tiryak Urdhvam Adha. Urdhvam means the one who is above. Urdhvam means the one is above. So Tiryak Urdhvam Ataha Shayihi, and Rashmihi means the race. See, Rashmayas means that belonging to the Rashmi means what? Race, correct? Kiranangal, you can say Rashmi means the race, correct? And tasya santatha. So, see, santata is actually a new word. Santata actually means the one who is engulfing, can use it. Engulfing, or the one who is pervading, can say, santata. So, the one who is present in animals. See, so far we have talked about human being. Now he's talking about the Bhagavan being present in Tiriyak. Also, Tiriyak means the animals, or the Nalakal Pranigal, the four-legged animals also. He is present in the place, Bhagavan present in that also. As what? As Rashmihi, as the effulgence. Just as he is present in us, he is also present as effulgence in also the animals. So the animals also are not different from us. The only thing is they don't have intelligence. They don't have the intellect to think they are animals. Otherwise, they are also have the same consciousness present in them. Bhagavan Vishnu is present as, or is pervaded in them also. So the santata, tasya santata means in that manner, this Bhagavan is present as Tiryak Urdhvam Ataha Shaihi Rashmayas. So Shai means what? The word which is, engulfing, or the one who is spread across. So he is spread across all of the animals as a race. So Shaihi Rashmayas Tasya Santata. Then, so Tiryakurtvamadashayi Rashmayas Tasya Santatha. Then Santa Payati Swam Deha Mapata Talamastakaha. So Deham, Swam Deham means one's own. Swam Deham. Santaha. See, Santata means what? The one who is pervaded. Okay. Santapayati means the one who is pervaded, the one who is pervading where? Swam, in one's own Deham. So Deham means what? The body. And Apatatala Mastakaha. So Apatatala means from the feet to the head, all of them, from top to bottom, including the physical body. Right? So Apa means what? Apatatala means from the feet. Padam tala mastakaha. So mastaka means head. So from the, this is also consistent with the way the worship is done in the Narayan temple. In Narayan temple also, they don't start from the top. They worship only from the feet. So same consistency is maintained here, where the Bhagavan Vishnu is present as Swam Deha, as the entire body, but which is present from the feet of the Bhagavan to the head of the Bhagavan. So Apatadala Mastakaha. Right. Then Tasya Madhye. So same way in the middle, Tasya Madhye, Vahini Shikha. So Vahini means what? Is Agni. Okay. Vahini means the fire. So Vahini Shikha Aniyor Tva Vyavastitaha. See, Aniyor means what? It's very, very small function. Aniyor Tva. And Vyavastitaha. So Vahini Shikha. So two words are there, correct? Vahini Shikha. And Aniyo Urdhva Vyavastitaha. So the one who is established in the heart, in the middle, as the very essence of the fire, Vahini, and also present in Urdhvaha Vyavastitaha. So the one who is present as the fire in the middle and everywhere else is the concept here. So Diryakurta Madasai Rashmais Tasya Santata Santa Bayati Swam Deha Apatatala Mastakaha. Tasya Madhye Vahni Shikha. Aniyordhva. Ani, see the word Aniyordhva, you must split into Anihi Urdhvaha. Okay. Aniyordhva. You can break it like this. And Vyavastitaha means what? Established, or the one who is seated there. This actually is related to, the heat which is generated more in the middle of the body. You will feel the heat more in the middle of the body than anywhere else. Like if you have any digestion or anything, like you will actually feel the heat, feeling the chest here first, correct? You do not feel the heat anywhere else immediately. So you will feel uneasiness because the Bhagavan is present as the Agni in the central part here. Here is where it's present here. That's why it talks about here as Tasya Madhye Bahni Shikha. So the central part of where the Bhagavan is there, it's where the heat is generated. Because that's where the food actually goes first. Right? The food goes, and then it actually the heat is converted from there, it goes into the stomach and then digested everything there. It doesn't mean that the food is sitting in the stomach and then it is getting heated up. So the heat is actually generated from the pipe itself, and the heat itself converts the food into a form which is digestible by the stomach. That's why when you eat extreme hot food, you see that. When you see the extreme hot food, spicy food, you'll see the heart burn, right? Why does it heart burn? Because it's because the Bhagavan's central sort of energy is present in the middle of the heart, in the middle of the structure system. So Tasya Madhye Vahni. Vahni means the heat is there. Ani Urdhva Vyavastitaha. So it's always situated just above the stomach, and that's where the heat sensing points are there. That's what it talks about here.
Shankarji, ஒரு question. நம்ம ஆத்மா இந்த ஜீவன் பிரசன்ட் பண்றது இங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? ஜீவன் நம்ம இது நம்மளோட இந்த what do you call it? Atma, that is present here. The hypothalamus, it will.
Atma is not present there. Atma is present, not there.
But that's what I read in what I heard in this thing, சப்தாவத்துல சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. ஹைப்போதலாமஸ் இதுக்குள்ள அந்த இது பிராணன் வந்திருக்கா. That's what I heard. That's why I'm telling. Now you are telling the Atma, the Jivan inge on the heart la irukku, inge idu irukku, agni ange irukku.
No, what it says is
that is
the pranan, see if you are talking about Kundalini, see there are different people talk about different things.
Yeah.
You must be talking about Kundalini yoga, there are other things are there. So there are other people who have different chakras are there. They talk about that.
Yeah.
But here Atma, when I talk about Atma is not present anywhere. Atma is not present. We cannot even see the Atma because Atma is the one by which everything is visible. Whereas the talk you talk about the present here, etc. They are only the Sagunam Brahma, or the energy which is present as the Bhagavan. So the Bhagavan is present in the form of energy. Right? Energy is not the Bhagavan. Okay.
Yeah, energy is not.
So you understand very clearly. Okay, Bhagavan is full of energy only. Right?
Yeah. What is that? They say the size of that prana, the body is the small end, 1/10,000 of size. That is situated here in the Narayaniyam. I heard this. That's
correct. See, Narayaniyam, see, I tell you, Narayaniyam or other texts also, they talk about the Saguna Brahma Upasana only. What they ask you to do, every text will ask you to meditate on some aspect of the Bhagavan. So there, the Bhagavan is presented in, if you look at Lalita Sahasranam also, Bhagavan is present somewhere else. So that's why he says here, Nadi Narambu, when they say, everything is present is the Bhagavan here. Right? Energy itself is present there. So every text will have, when you read Narayaniyam, you will have a different concept there. If you read Jnana Suktam, you will have a different concept there. So you must not confuse. What your message you understand is that everywhere Bhagavan is present. Okay. Whether it's present in here, whether it's present in Agni or chest or arms or fire, it doesn't matter because everything is Bhagavan. So whichever you worship, it is only the Bhagavan is worshipped there. not the energies worshipped there. If you focus on energy, you lose focus on Bhagavan.
Okay.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You focus on the energy aspect of it, like most people, what they do when they go to all these classes, etc. They ask you to do chakra. You raise the kundalini, so you will feel energy here.
Yeah.
So can you see the heat here? Because that is what they train. But in reality, what? Whether you get the heat here or heat here, it doesn't matter. Ultimately,
Chakrala on the Agni Ingelia. Chakrala on the Agni Ingia.
see, I don't follow any of Murthy, I don't go to any of these classes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I do not need to understand all this because
Yeah.
At the end of the day, understanding what are you going to do out of it. See, thing is, okay, okay, chakra is there. Okay, what are you going to do about it? I have brought the chakra here, so what?
Yeah.
So am I going to get free? No.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, understanding is important. See,
yeah.
when you get into this kind of reading or those kind of groups like this, every group will tell something different.
Yeah.
Right. Because then you will get confused. Right. So if you get confused, because everybody is saying something, and in other Pandango you follow yantra, tantra, all the things are there. But the essence of Vedanta is what? Bhagavan is present in everywhere. Energy form. So wherever energy is found, you have to meditate upon him as the supreme form. You must not be worshipping him as the energy form, because energy is only a small part of the Bhagavan. You know what I'm saying? That is what you should understand. So when you go to the class also, you must go with the mind, because you are a Vedantic student. Because if you are studying Vedanta for a long time, you will know this. But if you are, this is Saguna Brahma. See, all this I am teaching is Saguna Brahma. Okay. So Saguna Brahma, there is always Bhagavan Vishnu is there. In reality, there is nothing called Bhagavan Vishnu, because Vishnu also is a name. Right. Vishnu is what is another name for the Bhagavan. Okay. So when the person Narayanim is what who's talked about Narayana, Narayana is Bhagavan Vishnu there. And the person who is being talked about is actually Narayana is also a name. He's also not a name. There is a question of everything else coming there. So there, the topic is talked about because to give importance or to let the people focus on what it is. Like people who do, I think I've been asked to come to some puja there next week. Some Navavarna puja is there. Somebody is doing that. So the whole day they do, 8 hours a day they do. Because that is something they want to do, that they feel happy about it. And they find that energy is coming to them, and so it is perfectly okay, because they enjoy that particular thing is okay. But once you come to a certain level of understanding, you will understand that all those things which are there is an experience itself. Correct. So you will be able to visualize the power there, but can the power be permanently present there? You cannot. The power will go. Right. You cannot be in the status of that rising of the Kundalini or something forever. So after some time, you will again have to come down. Again, you have to raise the power up. Again, you have to come down. And what Shastram says is that this is a Shastram Kadayat. This is not Nityam. So Nityam the Sukham Sumivalam, we saw yesterday. What does it want? You want permanent happiness. You do not want temporary happiness. If somebody can tell you that you can be in the status forever, all three states of experience, then that is correct. But it is not possible. Correct. So that is why it is called Anityam. That's why Vedanta dismisses. It doesn't say that it is not correct. It is an experience. It is something to be known. It is an anubhava. So anubhava cannot become the truth, because anubhava also is known by the knower. See,
those who are practicing simplified form of Raja Yoga, a friend Pandran, he is also taking classes. He says now he has got the whole year got all the chakras, and now it's situated here. And when it goes on, this is what I heard. That's what Raja Yoga, the 6 volumes are there. The 6 volumes are Raja Yoga.
See, Raja Yoga, whatever, see, Krishnaji, whatever one may get chakra here and there also, the question is, can he retain the chakra 24/7? Ask him whether in sleep also, deep sleep also, he can experience the chakra. He cannot. He can only hold the chakra for as long as he is awake and as long as he is sitting in meditation. He has to get up to eat food. He has to get up to walk here and there. He has to get up to do something. Then what happens to the chakra? Does it always be there? It doesn't. Correct. So that is what is called Ashashratam. So it is okay to listen to them, but in terms of the Vedantic vision, it is actually turned Mithya. Mithya means it is not the Satyam. It appears to be Satyam, it's not a truth. So here also the example given here is all this example given here. So Deha Apatala Mastakaha is from the top, from the head, foot of the Bhagavan to the top of the body, the entire body is present as what? Vahni. Is present as Agni, as fire, as heat. So is present as heat. So heat is another form of representation of the Bhagavan. Heat itself is not Bhagavan. You get what I'm saying? Heat is a manifestation of the Bhagavan, just as the fire itself, the heat is the fire, is a manifestation of the fire. Correct? The fire is actually fire. It's what is Subhavam is to burn. Right? So that is same way here also. The Bhagavan's nature is of fire, of nature of illumination, of nature of heat. So the energy which is seen here is worshipped as the Bhagavan, but energy is not the Bhagavan. Okay. That's what it says here. So understanding is a little bit important. It's okay. I mean, I know that you go to some other classes, you listen to people there, but it is okay. Nothing like that. So you'll come to know, when you study Shastram, you'll all come to know that all these things, anything which you do, any puja, worship, ritual, Shakti, etc., will have to come to an end one day. Because you'll have to ask a question one day, how long will I continue to do this? Or when will I stop? So will I ever stop, or should I stop now or later? Or because there'll come a time when you'll ask this question. I've learned so many things. I've done so many rituals. I've done so many pujas. I've done all this chakra, etc. But I'm not happy because I'm not always in the state of mind. So to get to the state of mind, what you need to have something different. That is what is called Vedanta. So the study of Vedanta, actually, what does it do? It brings to focus all the Aparavidya. It says all this with all these things which are actually not of importance to you. So Aparavidya is many. Paravidya is only one. Right.
Yeah, what I hear in these things, I hear these things from the Saptahams. Sometimes I get the Saptaham in YouTube and Saptaham. So there are different Narayana Saptaham, Bhava Saptaham. All the people talk different things.
I totally agree because you follow those things now. You see YouTube, you subscribe to one Maharaj guy. You like that particular guy, he will send articles to you. You read that. And you read only what you want to understand because you like that particular thing, that episode you'll watch. But you do not understand the whole episode. You have to start from the structure, from beginning to end. So that is why Swamiji used to always say that never follow YouTube, because if you don't listen to structured teaching, you will randomly listen to YouTube recording or somebody saying something here and there, you will get 100% confused. It is Satyam. That is why in Arshavidya we never put videos. It's only because recently Swamini asked me to put videos, I'm putting them. So you want to popularize, said everybody is putting, Omkarananda is putting there. Why can't we put there? Said, okay, I'll put. But if you listen to many of my recording, if you listen to some random recording, Bhagavad Gita, some chapter of something here and there, you like that. And you'll think what I'm saying is attractive to you. But unless you listen to the whole thing, what I'm talking to you, you will not understand the concept what I'm talking about. Right? So very important that you have a structured method of learning and follow one teacher for a long time, because you will always come across all these kind of disturbances. You will go to one Swamiji, he will say something else. Another guru will say something else. And another person will say, so you do, this is also very good. And this is because that's why you should go to Jivi Yatra. You should attend a class. You will know why it is. People are, praptum samiha yutaha. So what they do, sarve janma brita sada vyasaninaha. Means what, they are always making effort. See, Shastram says that they are not always making effort, but they are making effort in the wrong direction, the wrong place. That is why till now they are not qualified, they are not able to seek the Ananda. See, one simple word is explain everything. He says one verse. I like the text because it talks about a person who, or generally, that everybody is making effort to be happy. but nobody knows what happiness is. Nobody can define what happiness is. And they are searching for something which they think it might be happy, or they think it might be, and they are making effort in that direction. But when they go there, they find it is not there for them. So they again go back, again start in this direction. Again they find not there. So they keep searching, making effort after effort after effort, but they are not able to get anything. Correct? That's why he says here, Sarve Janma Vritas Sada Vyasasinaha. Vyasasinaha means always making effort, not just once. They continuously make effort to do this. So same here also, all this pursuit of knowledge which you are doing, whether it is Raja Yoga, whether it is Kundalini Yoga, whether it is Hasta Yoga, or the whichever yoga you're following, meditation or other things you're following, they are all good for Antakaranam only. Ultimately, you have to arrive at the truth. This is what it is. Okay. So I'm not discouraging you, but what I'm telling you is that when you are on the study, in the path of study, one must be very, very systematic and religious. One must not.
I'm just clearing because different people talk different things. That's the only thing I just want to, frankly, I'm talking.
See, simple answer, Krishnaji.
Yeah.
Anyone who says that I can experience something, if somebody tells you that I can bring the Shakti there, so what? You know the Shakti. So if you know the Shakti means that you already is already known thing, and Atma, Brahman is something which is not known. Because it is not to be seen, not to be known by anybody else. You cannot even know it. Correct. So when anybody brings any Shakti or anything which is experience, a miracle or a particular phenomenon or anything which is there, or any particular experience, any happiness you bring, it is only Shastra, temporary. Because that will not be permanent. But understanding or resolving that happiness into something which is permanent sukham is Atma is important. And how to do this is difficult. Because we live in a very different world. We live in a different world which is purely objectified world. And we like to see things, we like to hear things, we like to validate things. We cannot accept things which are abstract. Unfortunately, the subject of study is abstract. Because Atma itself cannot be studied. So people who are studying Shastram with me and teacher will know very clearly what I am talking about. Correct. So I mean, I'm not. You can still follow what you're doing, but you'll get into this doubt all the time. 100%. Every time you go there, somebody will come because your knowledge is not steady at the moment. See, when the knowledge has become very steady, right? You will dismiss immediately all these things. You will not even entertain the thoughts because let them say what they want to say. It doesn't matter. Because you know that this is not correct. You know internally it's not correct. So what do you do? Let them practice what they want to do. They want Raja Yoga, let them practice. They want to do this, puja, you want to do this, ritual, elaborate ritual they want to do, you do that. So we do not say that, you don't do that. Say, if that makes you happy, you do that. But what if you don't do that? Supposing you finish the puja in one day and you have to wait for next particular day for the next puja to start. So you'll wait. So will you be happy or unhappy during the time? When you're doing the puja, you're very happy. And you want to be in a situation forever. 8 hours a day you're doing puja. But you cannot do puja next day 8 hours because you're a good office. And you have to invite people. So you cannot do all the time 24/7, you cannot do. So these are all the practical things which is to be analyzed. That's why the student of Vedanta is very, very clear in what he wants to pursue. So once that particular ultimate Nityananda Sukham is decided, that's what I want to go. Everything else he leaves aside. He doesn't even look into anything else. Pushpaji, is it correct? You are able to follow, right? I think she attends the other classes, so you keep telling the same thing, same message.
It was very nice listening to the conversation because it's something we all experience as we grow.
Right.
Yeah. So nice.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I never got into any of this kind of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately for me or whatever it is, I grew up with only 2-3 teachers. My first
Yeah.
teacher was Acharya for some time, maybe for 2 years. Then Karanda was my teacher for some time. Swami for about 9-10 years now. So I have not listened to anybody else, not followed any yoga or any teacher, any philosophy, or read any other book or anything else.
Yeah.
So I do not have any doubt about anything else.
Yes, it depends on each one's path, how we have gone, and what opportunities and what things have fallen in place for us. And our own
Correct.
samskaras play a role in that too.
No, it also because once you committed to the path, once you become mukshu, once you want to pursue the knowledge, then you have to. It's like shutting off all the other disturbances.
Yes.
Correct. See, it's like TV. When you watch a TV, what do you do?
Yeah.
If you want to watch cricket match, what do? You first reduce all the noise. You lock your room. You put headphone. You don't want any noise. Right? So these are all noise. These are all additional noise which are coming there, which will disturb your your mental stability or disturb your focus.
Yes. And it's so nice how you said that structured Vedanta classes and how these are the scriptures, the original.
Correct.
As much as original we can have.
Correct.
And learning from that, from a right person, the right guru, and going slowly, step by step, has made a big difference.
It is, because that's why the Wednesday class which people are attending, like the people are coming to the class, that's a structured class. That's actually it's a proper the Gurukulam class.
Namalodam, now we started as foundation Vedanta.
You also started in the afternoon class.
Yeah.
The Wednesday also the same class, but the people are different.
Yeah.
So they will follow the structured method. After this, Tattva Bodha will start, Atma Bodha will start. Then they'll start Mundaka Upanishad, Khato, then Kena Upanishad.
Yeah.
They go to the structured method. So they will not deviate from anything else. Even though they want to do something else, this methodology will not change because somebody wants to do something different. No, it has to be exactly the same thing. It will be structured.
Yeah, like our Sunday class.
Correct. So it's the same structure. So if you do the method, it will take you systematically properly.
Yeah.
If you attend intermittently, randomly here and there, and then it can bring you some doubts as well. I mean, it can give clarity to some extent, but it will not give you structured clarity. Correct. It is like watching a serial. See, if you go to India and watch a serial, suddenly, if I go to India, right, and I stay for 1 month, and these people are watching serial. So you also go and watch serial, and then you criticize what are they saying like this. But the people who are seeing serial regularly there, they enjoy because they know the previous background. So they know that 2 years ago they seen the serial continuing. 800 episodes they continue. So if you ask them, see, you don't know anything, Shankar. I've been watching this for 2 years. You are right in saying like this, but you're wrong. Because they have been watching this serial for all the characters they know by heart. They know they are related to the character like this. I'm not able to relate to any of the characters there because it doesn't mean anything to me there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when you are in that group, then you are connected to that particular stream of thinking. When you're not into the stream of thinking, then other things will come and disturb you. Because that is how the mind works. Your mind has to be occupied. And your mind has to be occupied means it has to be occupied in one particular stream of thinking. If your mind is free and you think other people can get in there, then other things will get in there. And when you get other people can give you ideas, or when you get involved in other things, you start to analyze also, because it is logical. That is why the Gurukulam method is shut down. Like, you cannot go anywhere. You cannot do anything. You cannot study anything. You cannot visit. You can only do homework. Study. Like exam, Vedanta study. So it becomes very tough. So same thing, but because we cannot do this, same thing we are doing there. Regular systematic study will help you. So I'm not, Krishna, you continue what you're doing. Okay, you have to go and experience. See, unless you go and experience.
No, I'm not studying, attending any class, anything. These are the comes, Saptavam, some Saptavam.
No. See, if you click on the YouTube subscribe button, right? YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and say bell, click the icon, click the bell icon. So what does it do? The bell icon will actually send next message to you.
Yeah.
Correct. So you can be in as many YouTube groups as you want, and you'll get all the YouTube videos, and it will come to your directly onto on a TV screen like this. So you have to view it. If you view it, you like it, then YouTube is sensitive, very systematic. It will say, how would you like? How would you see this? It will recommend one more video to you. You don't have to do anything. You click one YouTube video, it will recommend another YouTube video.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you like this. So you click on that, it will say, okay, how about you watch this?
And not only that, many people visit here also in Auckland also, many big people they come, they all talk differently. That's what I'm telling. Frankly, I'm busy. When I got a doubt, I just ask.
No, that's a good thing. Good thing asking.
Yeah, I never hesitate asking questions.
Very good. Actually, that's the way you should learn. See, when you have questions, you should ask. Sometimes that's why I keep asking, do you have any questions?
Maybe a stupid question. I don't care. But I'll ask.
That is okay. That's why I keep asking, do you understand the question? Some people don't ask any question. It means either understood everything or not understood anything, or in the process of assimilation, something going on. Anyway, so we should be able to complete this next week or so. Then after that, we will take up some other suktam, maybe Durga Suktam or something we'll take. We'll do that. After that, we'll come back to Sri Suktam.
What about Vishnu Suktam? I think you haven't done that one.
No, Vishnu Suktam is only a small portion is chanted. It's not a whole thing is chanted.
Yeah.
So I haven't completed Vishnu Suktam for many students yet. I've only done the first 4 or 5 lines. That's what is taught generally in the tradition. So we don't chant the rest of the mantras. But we will come to that later. We got Pamana Suktam, we got Agamarshana Suktam, a lot of things to learn.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity for people who do not know chanting, that you can pick up those things which is just taught to you guys. I think I taught to Krishnaji and everybody else. So they know chanting, all these things. So for people who do not know other suktams, you get a chance to learn this. Okay. So we'll stop the class here and we will continue next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste and Shubhratri to all of you. Hari.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.